Good day, gang. Welcome to Section 4, Mitigation and Barriers or Controls. And also, welcome to my shed. Well, there you go. Well, guys, for those of you who don't know, I travel around from ship to ship in our fleet, and I try to teach basically this entire course. When I'm on board for 2 to 3 weeks, give or take, and everything we discuss in this course is what I touch on. So one of the key things we talk about is actual discussions and communications and how that works. And I'm sure you've been in a morning toolbox talk or any meeting in general, really, and you have some poor guy up there with a piece of paper in front of him and he's reading it, and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to stay awake for this? Or you got a guy who's doing death by PowerPoint, and so we are trying to teach how people to engage in communication and good communication. And the other key word we're trying to touch on here is effective communication. And you would be surprised how much it does not happen. All right. I think George Bernard Shaw said that the illusion of communication is that it happens. And I think that's very true. I'll tell you, we have second engineers and chief mates are always my main culprits, mainly because they are the guys who give most of the instructions. And I get called out when an accident happens to investigate and stuff like that. And when I start my investigation, the first thing these guys say is, man, I told him to do this. I gave him instructions. And I am sure that they did, in some form or another, that there were instructions given, whether it's at the toolbox talk, the daily work plan, an informal meeting between him and the guy who got hurt, whatever it is. But are those instructions clear? And here's what I'm trying to get across there. You, as an expert in your field, you, the guy giving the instructions, the chief mate, second engineer, chief engineer, captain, whatever rank it is, office manager, whatever it is. You have an idea of what a good job looks like in your mind because of all your experience. You've seen it done well, and then therefore your instructions in your mind, you have a picture of what that looks like. But are your instructions clear enough to the guy who doesn't have that experience level? Are your instructions clear enough that he does the same job to the level that you want? And I would say in most cases, no. All right. So communication is an effective communication. I'm going to do a little sample with you later on here now. And matter of fact, before I even get started, if you haven't got it already, get a piece of paper and a pencil. And I'm going to do a little exercise with you now in a few minutes what good communication or effective communication is. So when I'm in the morning for our toolbox talks, everyone's getting ready, and the second engineer or the chief mate are giving their instructions on what to do for the day, I'm very, very cautious of the guy who sits there reading. And that is not what we're looking for. And we use a term called reversing the toolbox talk. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's basically trying to get more information. So the daily work plan is published the day before in my fleet, and many places, not just me. It's that's done. That's pretty. I think it's pretty standard, planning for the next day's events, and so everyone has a rough idea what they're doing. The toolbox talk kind of solidifies it, brings it all together, confirming the permits to work are in place, the job description, the job, who's going to be in charge of it, who's going to be participating, and things like that. And for the people who do that well, that communication, the toolbox talk, is the guy said, okay, we're doing this today. What do we need? And it goes around the table, and everyone says, well, I'm going to do this part, I'm going to do this, I'm going to plant isolate, and so forth and so on. And those guys who are in charge of that meeting and get all that information in, those are the people that I have no problems with. It's easy, easy peasy. But the guy who sits there and reads, or doesn't open up to his crew, or doesn't talk to them very much, he's only giving orders, that's the guy I'm worried about. All right? So this particular opening section is about communication and how it should work. So here's my example. So we all speak English taking this course, or maybe not speak as your primary language, but you all understand me even with the Newfoundland accent. All right. So in my example here, I will give you some simple instructions. My first set of instructions are: I would like you to draw a square in the center of your page of your paper. It doesn't have to be the full size. It can be small, big, whatever you want. Center of your page, draw a square. All right. Now on top of your square, I would like you to draw a triangle. Again, it can be big, small, bigger than your square, smaller than your square. It doesn't make a difference. And then on top of your triangle, I would like you to draw a circle. So just to recap, I've asked you to draw a square in the center of your page. On top of your square, I've asked you to draw a triangle. And on top of your triangle, I've asked you to draw a circle. All right, I'm going to pause right now and see if you got from my instructions. See if you got what I'm looking for. In my instructions, I asked you to draw a square in the center of the page. Then on top of that, I asked you to draw a triangle. Then on top of that, I asked you to draw a circle. Does anyone have this diagram? I'm laughing here because I can almost guarantee that 99% of you do not. I would say more than likely you have a picture that looks something like this with a square on your page. On top of it there is a triangle, and then on top of that is a circle. But that's not what I asked you for. When I gave you instructions, on top of means on top of, overlaying. And when I'm giving you instructions, this is my idea of what a good job looks like, and this is what the final product I want from you. And I can almost guarantee you that everyone in the room does not have the same final product that I asked them for. Okay, and it is just a simple interpretation of on top of. And if you can imagine now giving complex instructions for loading cargo or mooring or anything, and how those instructions can be easily confused, and accidents can happen. And that's my little example of communication and how the illusion of it actually happening occurs.